Hello, good afternoon, Dheeraj.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, welcome to this session of the Alumni Talk from DataMites. First of all, very heartiest congratulations to all the career advancements that you have made.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so let's begin with the interview process. Can you tell something about the job that you are currently pursuing?
hmm Cool. So currently, I'm working at RadiusAI company. It's a US-based company where we have product that at retail we deploy it at retail stores. Basically, it's a self assist checkout system. Okay, so I'm working there as a senior applied scientist, where my current job role is to like enhance the product and normally to enhance the accuracy of the product on like real-time basis, like day-to-day basis, to identify the drips in the product, like with respect to accuracy and data drips. And it involves some R&D also. So like reading papers and applying techniques that currently is state of the art and solving the problems. Yeah.
Okay. Can you let us know how did the course in the data mites that you have done, how did it help you to reach where you are right now in terms of your career?
Sure. So first thing, like I want to give a little bit background, like from where I started. Like I started my career in 2020 as a software engineer. Initially, I didn't landed as a ML engineer at first. So I joined as software engineer. So while doing software engineer, so since like in 2020 there was a lot of AI boom and everywhere people were talking about AI and ML. So I came across this Institute of Data Mice, and where I reviewed and I talked with some like alumni and they got the feedback, and I joined the Data Mice like AI expert course. If I'm not remember correctly, it was AI expert, and I joined that course. It was a 6 to 8 months duration of course, and yeah, that's how when I started learning what like AI and ML. I think the at the instructors from beginning were like I think co-founder from Rubik's company. They started ML introductions, and yeah, that's how we started. I was able to learn, and one thing like I was consistent in my learning, and I was able to learn like ML. And then after ML, like there was like deep learning course syllabus. Then CNN, they taught me CNN, LSTMs, and like all computer vision and NLP stuff. And it also had some like capstone projects that we have to do, and that was really like interesting and fun to do. Yeah, so that's how like it gave a basic like foundational skills that and that gave me the confidence. Okay, yeah, I can now apply for interviews and crack interviews and land in one of these ML jobs. So right after the course got completed and I started applying for interviews, and yes, I landed in one of the company as an ML engineer.
Okay. Dheeraj, can you tell us, in the beginning, when you started looking for jobs and other things, what was your journey towards reaching and achieving a job into machine learning field?
So pardon, like can you explain your question, Lily?
Yeah, I mean, the struggles you faced while you were trying to get into the job domain of
Mhm.
machine learning.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So basic like struggle was see when I started applying for ML roles, basically I was applying for wherever there was ML role. I was blindly applying for roles because ML is like very varied, right? It's like it's and first of all it's just traditional machine learning, and then there's computer vision, there's this NLP, and I was just applying for all these roles though because the course also contains all this. But I did little did I know that no one is supposed to know everything, like because companies expect us to be good at one particular field because they have a team, right? Because in a team there's a requirement of CV. Within CV also there's a lot of team like image processing, video processing, and lot of like streams like medical stream and like retail sector, right? There are many streams like autonomous like robots and stuff, right? So when I was applying, I was blindly applying to all these fields and streams, and it didn't show me like that expert in my resume because in my resume I'm not curating my resume to particular to that field. It was very generalized. So that's where like most of my resumes like didn't get selected at beginning. Then later I connected with some of my peers and colleagues. So I started curating my resumes according to the job description. And instead of like blindly applying to even there's a computer vision role and I'm interested in computer vision, but I'm not blindly applying to any of CV roles. I'm seeing whether that stream and that companies I'm interested in, and I'm curating according to that company. The resume, yeah.
Okay. So let's get to the syllabus part of the course that you
Hmm.
were provided. I assume you were into artificial intelligence course
Yeah.
you were enrolled into that. So the syllabus that was given in there, the NLP and that, according to what you work currently, what are the technologies that you have studied in the syllabus course that you are still using in your job?
Okay. So basically, like CNNs, that's the basic thing that still I'm using currently. Uh, so basically, we have in while working on projects, we have the data. The only thing that we often change is like which model you should deploy it according to the latency requirements and accuracy requirements. So all these models, like basically in the course, I learned CNN in depth. So sometimes what happens in the good thing about the course is like it specifically focuses on like foundational skills, not just like any models like VGG or ResNet. Instead of that, it starts like extensively on internal of like CNN, like how convolution works and all. Because most of the times, as I have to I have to come up with some custom architectures as well. I have to design architectures from scratch using convolutional blocks and all. So it's not that I'm just using like pre-trained models and just training my on our data, right? So that foundational skills help design me like efficient architectures and all, how I can design architecture. And so that's one of the good thing about the course. Yeah.
Okay. Can you give a brief insight about what you do right now as in your current job profile?
Cool. So as you can see, like my role is like applied scientist. So basically, there's a difference between like engineer and as applied scientist, right? So basically, what deep learning engineers normally do is like we train our models on our data and like we productionize, right? Like let's say I'm using transformers library, right? I just install transformers and use any pre-trained model. I train on my data and I will like good to go. But when I say I'm an applied scientist, so what I have to do is like sometimes I have to take ideas from that architecture, and sometimes I have to come up like design my own architecture, because not always like this big architectures I cannot deploy into production, right, due to latency constraints. So I have to understand architecture of the state of the art models. I have to design a smaller version, lightweight version of that architecture. So this is where some of the courses like foundational skills come into play, as well as this is what differentiates between a deep learning engineer and a traditional deep learning engineer and applied scientist. So we have to read some papers, design architectures, train our data. So basically, like for like normal data deep learning engineers, right, or ML engineers, they know how to take the model from 0% to 95%. But actually, in real world scenarios with our real world data, right, proprietary data, what happens is like to get the model from 95 to 98, 97%, right? That 3-4% is very difficult to bring. For that, so much of R&Ds and experiments is involved. So that's where like currently I work on. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, moving further on, can you tell us something that how did you get into AI that initially after your college days or whatever you have done earlier, what made you get into AI and ML background?
Yeah. So basically, while I was doing software engineer, like I was just writing APIs and stuff. And since my college days, I was like pretty like interested in maths. Maths was my favorite subject. So as I was hearing about AI stuff, I thought it's something different and it's not related to me. But as I like read about what is AI, and I saw it's based on like mathematical foundational principles, right? So that's what like interested me to like okay, jump into the field of AI. And that's what I started like understanding what is AI, and that's what like I took this DataMites course.
Okay, and how did you reach to DataMites for the course? Like, what led you to
Yeah.
choose DataMites?
So I was Googling just like what are the institutes and courses that is like kind of, because I didn't want to like spend 1 year or 2 year on site. So I wanted something quite remote where I can like put my hours, like because I was working at that time as software engineer, right? So I can dedicate some couple of hours to in a week. So that's what I was looking for, some courses that's flexible enough, and also that's pretty good, like that will like help me to land a job. So that's why I was googling it, and I saw came across many courses, and I saw this DataMites, and I saw its reviews. And since on YouTube, right, there are many like testimonies videos, right, testimonials. So I gone through that, and yeah, that's what. I understood like what this course is, and I connected one of your like team to understand the course duration and stuff, what are the syllabus. That's how I took DataMites course.
Okay, so while pursuing your job hunt for the course, I'm sure that everybody has their own experiences. Would you like to suggest some ways that students can choose to get into the AI and ML field? Any suggestions? What should they do, and how should they get to looking for their jobs?
Yeah, one thing I would say like the like AI is like now kind of ocean. Like 4 years back, it was kind of now big pool. Now it's kind of ocean because now it's like if you talk about 2025, is their job decisions contains these words like multimodal, modality, like LLMs, LoRa, like many things, right? Stuffs that are like pretty like state of the art and advanced. But I would suggest students to just get their foundational principles strong, okay, because they even the companies mention these all things in interview, right? Interview is like always like driven by you, so what you say and topics, the questions, the follow up questions will be revolving around the answers you give basically. So it's like it's the student that drives the interview, so I would say like focus on foundational skills. So normally typically even though the job description mentions this like very state of the terms, it's not that the interviewer is going to ask in depth about that. It's good to know at high level what is that. Just understand if I say LLM, what is LLM, what is similar topic that goes with LLM is RAG, right? So understand at high level what is this theoretical level. Don't jump into deep unless you know, unless you're strong with foundational skills. So basically, like interview starts with your foundational skills and the way you give answers and the way it goes. Yeah.
Okay, so you were talking about the interviews. Can you tell us some topics that were more focused on interviews, perspectives, some concept there? What was more asked to you in all the interviews you have undertaken?
Okay. So most of the interviews it starts with like basic foundational skills basically. Like if you're it again depends on the at what stage you are. If you're a fresher, it starts with like some basic things like what is tell me CNN, what is like back professional stuff, right? Then accordingly the interviews like get driven by the candidate. But if you're like say 1 2 years of experience, so you have experience of like working in a project ML project, right? So basically the interview starts about like asking you to share your experience of your project, what difficulties you have faced. Basically, as your like experience increases, the interview levels also change typically. Because initially, like if you're within like 0 to 2 years experience, your interview is like focused on basically foundational skills and theoretical more. But as your experience rises, it becomes more practical oriented and scenario based questions. So I would suggest for students like if anyone is applying for 0 to 2 years of experience role to be very good at that foundational skills and to apply as many interviews as possible because like there's a saying, right, failures teaches us a lot more, and that's true basically. Like if you give that many interviews and if you fail in each interview, you learn something new, question and new topic that you are not aware, and that makes you prepare for next interview as well, and it will increase your knowledge. So that I would say for 0 to 2 years of experience. Then from 2 to 4 and 4 plus, like it's based on your how you can like communicate your projects, right? So communicating is also, and like telling your projects in a good way is also like very important skill.
Okay,
Yes.
so the course that you have taken, the AI engineering course, what is the most challenges and difficulties you faced in the course part? Was it more the theory or the hands-on? What was the most challenging part of it?
Uh, to be honest, like I was like consistent throughout the course. I didn't find any like challenging stuff as such because whenever I had obviously like I was beginning into AI, I'm learning AI. There was obviously some doubts and some challenges, minor challenges that I was like not sure about the topic and stuff. The team definitely helped me, but to me, for me, like honestly, there's not like major challenge. I didn't face any such challenges. Yeah.
Okay, so here's a question from Sagar. Which project or topic is very important for a data science field?
So there's no like any like straight particular like single correct answer for this. According to like companies you're applying and the role you're interested in, topics changes. See, for me, like my favorite and currently my most of the time I work on CNN, like image related to images, like NLP is little bit like it depends, right? Currently, it depends due to my company's core like computer vision company. So that topic is important to get into this company basically. Like you have to very good in CNN foundational skills and all because the interview is also related to that topic mostly. Like my interview went 80% around CNN based topics, images, deployment and all. Yeah, it depends companies to companies and like the projects and the skills company is looking for.
Okay. So, can you tell me how has AI evolved since you've completed the course?
Yeah, so AI has evolved at like exponential like, rapid speed. Like some topics might be like little bit absolute, like no one uses. Like let's say like our LSTMs and stuff, right? People don't use. People use transformers nowadays, right? But the it's not always that if AI is evolved, we shouldn't be aware of LSTMs because still like if because transformers are like very latency heavy, right? They can it's require a lot of tuning to them to deploy. But let's say for your requirement, even a basic LSTM network gives you similar accuracy closer to transformer. I will deploy LSTM. So AI is evolved to a lot of change, and there's like LLMs, multimodality, like fusion of like audio, video, and text, right? There are many models. It has become very advanced, but at the same time, it's also like not always we will use this like advanced techniques to deploy. So foundational skills are also required, and yes, AI is evolved at a rapid stage. Yeah.
Okay. So, where do you see AI heading in the next few years, and what can you recommend to students to stay ahead in the given field now? Considering that
Yeah.
today you can see every other day you have a new technology in AI.
Yeah. So basically, in 5 years, normally there's a term saying like AI will replace jobs, but I won't say it will replace everyone's jobs. Like it will basically help us to make us efficient in our daily work to work, right? So take an example, ChatGPT, right? So in 5 years, like people might use more of ChatGPT, and people will develop their code 80% using ChatGPT or stuff, right? But it makes them efficient. So I see that as a tool to like kind of catalyst to your work, which increases your efficiency, reduces your development time, and from a company point of view, reduces like time to deployment as well, right? So I would say like most of things will get automated, and but even when the things get automated to validate, there's always a human intervention is required. So it doesn't like completely remove human, right? So that's what I see in 5 years as well. Yeah.
Okay. So, there's another question. How did you crack your recent interview?
Okay. So the current company I'm working on, I'm working here like since like now 1.5 years. So before 1.5 years, when I applied for this company job description was like a deep learning engineer role title, and it was all about like CNNs, production, deployment, APIs, right? So while applying for a company, first of all, what I did, like I revised Python. Not when I say Python, people just think like, okay, they already know Python. But the thing that you should remember is it's not just Python. You should be in depth in Python. Like what is like multiprocessing, what is threading, right? I will write your efficient Python code, right? Classes inheritance. If people ask you like simple topic of polymorphism, instead of telling what is polymorphism, you should come up with like explain a simple terms with analogy, right? Not every time like hard like technical terms are required. So Python you should learn in depth, right? What is like asynchronous programming, synchronous programming. There's a famous topic in Python like GIL, right? Global Interpreter Law. So these are some advanced topics like people should learn in Python when they say they're preparing Python, right? Not just basic syntaxes and all. That I would suggest. And so that I did as well. So then like in interview, because when they ask about Python and you say multiprocessing, right? Definitely the interview will be curious to know whether he understands multiprocessing in detail, and he will definitely ask you related to that. And that's how what I mean, like student drives the interview. So that's one thing. That's how like I prepared Python, and then I prepared ML basics. And since I know the job description was more into computer vision, so I revised entire computer vision from basics till advanced. I like also I would suggest like, and what I did is like I read papers that are recently interesting, like state of the art at that time. Because reading papers, understanding papers is a good skill, and not just like having basic foundational knowledge. So that also like helps you having some extra edge and advantage over other candidates as well while applying for interview. and whatever you read paper, right, have a project done related to that. So I read a paper and I did a small project related to that paper, because these projects you should put in your resume, that should be like unique, not like everyone. It doesn't sound like you're copy pasted from internet, right? So that's what I did. I read some paper and applied. I posted it on LinkedIn. I mentioned that my LinkedIn, that post link of that project into my resume. So when the interview clicks on my resume, the sniper link, you can see directly the output of my project, right? So that like interests them to uh, pick you, like they can remember you over other all candidates. That's one thing that I did. And I prepared all basics and stuff. I prepared all advanced topics that were going on. That's how I prepared for interview and I applied. And yeah, I cracked like my all interview with like good flying colors. Yeah.
Okay. Any final conclusive message and advices you would want to give to people who are currently going through AI or planning to get into AI?
Sure. So I would like want to give one like want to say something like people, to all the students that like want to get into AI or just starting or in currently working as AI, but they want to switch into different roles. So there are a lot of topics, like don't get like scared of like AI. Like if you see different job descriptions says different topics, but at the end interview, as I said, you drive the interview, believe on your skill sets, be consistent, like learn whatever you can in your time before applying for interview, and be sure to make like you be sure that you are good with Python, in like with advanced Python concepts as well, trading and trading, multiprocessing and all. And then if you are applying for ML roles, have some like SQL knowledge as well, little bit, and not at like data engineer point of view, but little bit SQL CRUD operations, right? That is also important. And I would suggest like apply as many interviews as possible. Even if you fail, you always learn something good, and that will help you in your further interview process. And one thing, like be consistent in like whatever you do, and also do learn foundational skills and be prepared well thoroughly. And also always be curious about what's happening currently, like right now, right? What recently DeepSeek came, right? What makes DeepSeek stand apart from open and stuff? If you know at high level the key differences, right, that will like improve your knowledge, right? And that's what like internal experts, you also, if you talk about this stuff, they are very like curious and interested to talk with you also. Yeah.
Okay, so that's it from here. It was a very enlightening and insightful session. Thank you so much for your valuable time.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.